Hey everyone, it's Tracy Martirana here from Holistic Wellness with Tracy. Welcome back to my channel. I am doing another video today in my self-development book club series. So if you've been following along, I set a reading goal this year of reading at least one self-development type book every month of the year. And then I decided if I'm reading them, I might as well share a little summary with you so you can decide if you want to read it as well. This is book number 3, and it is The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. First of all, I have to say, I love Mel Robbins. She has this way, and she will even say it, and I think it's even in her book, she is known for taking fairly complex ideas and concepts and sort of simplifying them down in a manner that makes sense and is sort of applicable and usable in your everyday life. I originally found Mel many years ago, probably 20 years ago, if I had to guess. She did a TED Talk back in, I think it's 2011, that I saw. Probably, might not have been 2011 when I saw it, but it probably was in that realm, probably by 2012, 13, maybe. I went through a phase where I watched a ton of TED Talks, and I still do like TED Talks. I just don't watch them as often as I used to. And if you haven't watched a lot of TED Talks, I highly recommend it. I will put a link down in the description box to Mel's TED Talk. And I'm going to call her Mel because I kind of feel like I know her, even though I don't. I watched that TED Talk, fell in love with her. She's great. And then several years later, I don't even remember what year it was or how long she's even been doing it, but she has a podcast that is now on YouTube, and I think it's also on Apple. Actually, no, I know it's on Apple Podcasts because I know I've listened to it there as well. I love her podcasts. Again, she has some really great experts on, and they're able to have this conversation and distill, I want to say, pretty sciencey or intellectual ideas and bring it down to what that means to you as a human. If you're into podcasts, she's definitely one that I would recommend. So let's get on to the book. I absolutely loved this book, and I don't know if you can see. Actually, you can't see as many. There's some all the way down here. There are book darts all throughout this book. When I'm reading a self-development book, especially, occasionally I'll do it with a fiction book, but typically it's when I'm reading something that I feel like is important and that I'm learning something from. I like to use book darts. I've mentioned before, they're just like these little metal, see if you can see what this is. Little metal clips. They're better than paper clips because they're super thin and they have this pointy edge, so you can put it right on the side of a page so that you know, like, right where you left off, or you can point to the exact sentence that you want to make note of. And they come in a little tin like this. They're great. Highly recommend them. But as you can see, I used, I think, probably like 20 in this book to mark things that I thought were really important. And that's not even half of it. So I put a book dart like in one spot. And then from there, I just went on with my pencil and underlined and circled and wrote some notes in the margins of a ton of things. This book just spoke to me in many ways. She starts in the beginning giving a nice overview of just herself and kind of where she came from and how now she's turned into the person that people come to for recommendations on how to live their lives. We actually listen to her advice, and I think it's funny, or I think that she thinks it's funny because at one point she was not the person who felt that she could offer advice, but now she is. I want to make note to the fact that even at the second half of the book, I still have, they don't show up so well on the camera, but I'm still making notes and using book darts in the second half of this book. I find with a lot of self-development books that the first half, or sometimes even just the first third, is really good. It gives you all the big ideas, the concepts that you really need. And then like the second half of the book seems like it's just filler trying to get to like whatever word count or page count that they wanted to get to. But with this book, that was not the case. I was engrossed in the content all the way to the end. In fact, like in the second half is where I had some really big aha moments. So this is definitely a book worth your time to read it beginning to end. So you're probably wondering, what does let them mean? It means probably exactly what you're thinking. It's about letting go of trying to control people or situations that are really out of your control. I'm going to read you a quote. Let people be who they are, or feel what they feel, or think what they think. The idea being that we try to control people. It's just who we are. We can't help it. We want to control people. We want to help people. We want people to do what we think they should. And that is a losing battle, and you're just setting yourself up for stress. So the step one is let them. It doesn't mean pushing people away. It doesn't mean ghosting them. It doesn't mean ending friendships. It means just coming to terms with the fact that sometimes, most of the time, you have to just let adults be adults. And while it's not in the title, there is a second step to the let them, if you will be. There's a follower sentence that Mel says is actually even more important than letting them, and that is let me. A reminder that we are in control of our own actions. We take responsibility for our part in what happens in the world, and we get to choose how we want to respond. So, when you see something you want to control, some person that you want to change, you say, let them do what they're going to do, think what they're going to think, say what they're going to say, feel what they're going to feel, and let me give myself that same opportunity. Let me be responsible for me. Now, I thought when at the beginning of the book that, okay, yeah, I get it. There's not much more that needs to be said about that, right? But trust me, there is. She breaks it down into a lot of different instances and for examples. She uses a lot of scientific research to sort of explain why things are the way they are and why we think the way we think and why it is best to react in one certain way than another. And she gives some really, I would say, hard, honest examples from her own life that I'm sure there were moments where she paused and wondered, should I really put this in the book? And then she did. I'm not going to go chapter by chapter and tell you what is in here, but I do just want to give you an idea of some of the chapter titles so you can kind of get an idea of what to expect. Now, in the first part, which is titled You and the Let Them Theory, there is managing stress, fearing other people's opinions, dealing with someone else's emotional reactions, overcoming chronic comparison. And then the second part, which is your relationships and the let them theory, is my favorite section, which was mastering adult friendship. And I'll say right now, that whole section is on friendship, but I feel like it also very much is relatable to adult family relations. So whether it's siblings, parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, grown kids, whatever, I feel like everything about adult friendships is also true for adult family relationships. There is motivating other people to change, because again, let them doesn't mean go ahead, do it. We do want to help and support the people we love, right? But there's a way to do it that's healthy, and there's a way to do it that's not. So Mel talks a lot about, the healthy way to do it. Helping someone who is struggling and choosing the love you deserve. There's also an appendix which has information on how to apply the let them theory to parenting, and also how to apply it to teens. So if you are a parent of younger kids, this book really focuses on adults, but there is additional information about using it with younger children. And also, if you're thinking of a work-related thing, of a group, a team that's struggling and that needs, or more like you need some help on how to deal with it, there's also information on that. On my website, I posted a blog about this book in which I included several of my favorite quotes. I could only do several and not the 100 that I have underlined, because some of them require a little bit more information to really understand where it's coming from. But I did share, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think 7 or 8 on my blog. I will link my blog post down in the description box. Go check it out if you want to just maybe get a little feel for the writing, little feel for some of the things that she said that I thought were important. By all means, those 7 quotes are not the most important. They're just the ones I shared. And then I will tell you, I highly, highly recommend this book. I loved it. It's probably one of my favorite self-development books that I've read in a long time. So pick it up. It is available, I believe, on audio. But there's something about when it comes to self-development books, or really any sort of nonfiction book, I like the physical copy because I want to get out my pencil and my book darts, and I want to be all nerdy and geeky and take notes right in the book. I will put a link to this book down in the description box, so be sure to check out that description box below, right? There's going to be all kinds of really good information. Check it out. Thank you so much for joining me, and have a great day.